not just about making money. It's about creating content that like genuinely helps people or resonates with them on like an emotional level.
So it's about like understanding what your audience needs and then delivering on those needs in a way that feels like authentic and helpful.
You have to be a good host to your audience.
It's not enough to just be present and consistent. Our content has to like offer something valuable to our audience.
And that leads us to the fifth step, Ember change.
Change. The one constant in life, especially online. What does Bobby say about like navigating the ever-changing landscape of social media?
He's actually quite skeptical of anyone who like claims to have the algorithm figured out. He reminds us that social media is constantly evolving and that the best way to like navigate that change is to embrace it rather than try to fight it.
So instead of trying to game the system, we should focus on like adapting and evolving with it.
Exactly. He even suggests being a consumer of social media, browsing, observing trends, seeing what others are doing as a way to stay, ahead of the curve. He emphasizes that each platform has its own like unique culture.
So being an active user helps us like understand those nuances and tailor our content accordingly.
Exactly. And while change can be uncomfortable, he argues that discomfort is often a sign of, growth. So instead of fearing change, he encourages us to see it as an opportunity to like push ourselves outside of our comfort zone and discover like new possibilities.
That's a great perspective. It's so easy to get like stuck in our routines and resist change, even if it's like ultimately beneficial.
Yeah, he even compared it to a bear venturing out of hibernation. It's scary at first, but it leads to new opportunities and experiences. Now, his sixth step really challenges like traditional social media wisdom. He calls it build your audience, not your brand.
Okay, this is interesting. What does he mean by building an audience, not a brand? Isn't like personal branding all the rage these days?
He's actually quite skeptical of the concept of personal branding. He argues that it can like distract from building genuine connections with our audience. It's like trying to fit ourselves into a predefined box instead of letting our like true selves shine through.
So he's saying that focusing too much on like crafting a perfect image can actually hinder our ability to connect authentically with our audience.
Exactly. He believes that like genuine connections are built on, trust, vulnerability, and a willingness to be ourselves, not on like carefully curated personas.
So instead of trying to be what we think others want us to be, we should focus on connecting with people authentically.
Right. He even conducted a survey, and he found that while most people, believe in personal branding, only a small percentage actually like invest in those services. He sees that as a sign that maybe we're overemphasizing branding and neglecting the importance of, genuine connection.
That's fascinating. It makes me think about like how much pressure we put on ourselves to create this like perfect online persona, but maybe it's actually our imperfections and vulnerabilities that make us more relatable and approachable.
Exactly. He suggests thinking of your audience like as your boss in a way. They're the ones who ultimately decide whether your content is like valuable.
I love that analogy. It really shifts the perspective and like highlights the importance of listening to your audience, asking for feedback, and rewarding loyalty.
Yeah, he even encourages content creators to be more open to like criticism. He argues that negative feedback, if it's, constructive, can help us see our blind spots and improve our content.